Morning, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about changing your working environment to aid your productivity. So, it's Monday Motivation, which is where we kind of talk about productivity related stuff to kind of kickstart and motivate you to kind of crack on with your week. So that's the general theme of Mondays now. Slightly changed from what it used to be, but hopefully it fits a little bit better. And today's one that I've certainly probably experienced or mastered. I think I've mastered this one over the course of certainly this year. There's been a lot of change this year since leaving Systems and Outsourcing and starting kind of 5 new businesses in addition to my property business, and huge amounts of stuff to get through and get done. And I've really looked about my kind of working style, my working environment, how I can just get those marginal gains to try and get more done in less time. And this is a big one. So there's a lot of talk about finding your flow, and I think that's there's a lot of people that talk about the science behind it, and when you're in your flow and the power of distractions and how you should avoid them and all these types of things. But I think having worked at home from home now for as long as I can remember, I've got pretty good experience in working remotely, and I've found on many occasions you can stagnate when you work in a certain environment. And what I mean by that is, for example, it's a good time to talk about this now because we've just approached lockdown 2.0, and everybody's home base is applicable. I mean, I could, I suppose, go out and about if I wanted to, because site visits and stuff at properties that we're doing refurbishments is allowed, but I've got other members of staff that kind of do that. So I'm pretty much administrative based now, and although I like to get out and about where I can, it's not necessary for me to do so at the moment. So I am pretty much locked down like everybody else, because I can work from home. And I think the key part here is that I'm now working from home, but it's not such a big issue for me because I haven't really worked from home for such a long time, so it feels like a fresh working environment. And what I mean by that is that when we've been working from home for so long, I've got these little pocket venues or destinations or locations that I've found over the course of time to be able to kind of go out and work in a cafe or a hotel or a Regis office. So many different locations that I work in on a frequent basis. It just freshens up my working day, and as a result, I find finding my flow a lot easier. I've talked a lot about kind of self-accountability and holding yourself accountable for stuff. But when you're stuck at home sometimes and you've got the creature comforts at home, it can be quite easy just to go, just have a bite to eat at lunch and flick on the TV or whatever. And before you know it, in a couple of hours can have gone by. Whereas if you're out working in a cafe or something, okay, you still get that kind of ambience around you of hustle and bustle, but it's not a distracting sound, and also there's less distractions. So in terms of TVs and screens and things that you would get distracted with at home, you don't get when you're kind of out. So the point I'm making today is that it's a really cool productivity hack to have a variety of working locations if you are home-based. If you're home-based or you work remotely, when we're allowed again, have a look at where you're working and break up your week to keep it kind of fresh, if that's the right word to say, because otherwise if things stagnate, your productivity levels drop. So this is I know I've waffled my way through this episode so far, but hopefully you can see what I'm trying to get at. So the general rule from my perspective is I don't like working from home at this moment in time. There's been times where I've worked at home for months and months on end, but at this moment in time, I'm now back at working at home, but it's not as big an issue for me at the moment as it would have been had I been working at home solidly for the past few months. But I have been working at cafes, at hotels, at Regis offices, a variation of places. And the end result is actually now working back from home is like a little bit of a novelty. So it means I'm not losing that productivity I would have inherently lost had I been working at home all the time and then been being locked down for another month or so, however long this is going to go on for. It would have been to a detrimental effect to my productivity. So, trying to make some clarity around this episode. So, generally speaking, it is better to freshen up your working environment. Don't work in the same place all the time unless you are very, very disciplined and very, very good at holding yourself accountable to try and ensure that you maintain those productivity levels that you set yourself. Now, I can tell you now, probably 95% of people will struggle in that position, in that situation, and would inevitably kind of wane from being super productive at home because there's too many distractions, too many creature comforts. If you are one of those people, then you're extremely lucky and carry that on because it's rare to be somebody so disciplined and so able to hold themselves accountable personally without the need for external factors. I'm not one of those people, so changing up my working location has been hugely important for me. The other thing to consider as well is understanding the distractions list. So what you want to do here is a little exercise. I've done a separate episode on this before, but I think it's important bringing it back to the table today, is make a list of any time you get distracted. So whether it's your wife or your kids come up and disrupt you in the office, or whether you're when you're supposed to be working, this is, or whether you break for a cup of tea, or whether you're working in an office and a colleague comes over, or whether your mobile phone goes off and a message comes in, or an email comes in and distracts you, or Facebook notification. Make a list of your distractions and then try and find environments where you can minimise those distractions as much as possible. So what I mean by that is one of my biggest distractions are when I'm in flow, I can just steamroll through tasks, power through things. But as soon as I break for a cup of tea or coffee and I have to physically go and get or make that myself, I'm out of flow. And on average it takes, I think, 23 minutes to get back into a state of flow. So every distraction costs you 23 minutes, which is a crazy stat, but it's something to be aware of. So when I work in cafes, I order a coffee and it comes to me to the table. I don't have to get up and disrupt myself from the flow. So it's just one example. Another example with mobile notifications. Just turn them on Do Not Disturb when you're working, and then give yourself designated time throughout the day where you keep on top of your kind of inbox or inboxes, of which social media notifications and messaging may form that part of what you classify as inboxes. So that's really important. So that should kind of give you a little bit of a steer for how you can kind of pick working environments that suit you, especially if you understand your distractions list and what causes distraction, what doesn't. When you get to that stage, then you can choose, areas where you're going to work more effectively, and it makes a massive, massive difference. So, hopefully this waffly episode, it's been a crazy waffly one today. There's been a lesson in there somewhere where hopefully some of you will find useful. So, to summarise, find, if you're somebody who cannot self-motivate or hold yourself accountable yourself, then consider changing up your working environment on a regular basis. It will just give you, I've got so much stuff, mud on my shoes at the moment, this is horrible. On a really muddy country path here. But anyway, sorry, I digress. I'm literally skating on mud. But anyway, so if you're one of those people who can hold yourself accountable yourselves, then amazing. You're one of probably the 5% out there who can self-motivate and be disciplined enough to push yourself into a flow-like state of productivity. If you're like me, or 95% of other people, you need to find a way to ensure you're reaching those same productivity levels. And changing your work environment avoids stagnation and it avoids that dreaded dip off in productivity. The next point is do a distractions list. Make a list of all the distractions you get in your working day. Make a list, understand them, and then find locations that are going to minimise them. So there's always a solution to a given distraction once you understand it. And as I said before, getting up and getting teas or coffees or food is a big one for me. So I would rather spend in cafes because it gets brought to your table and you stay in flow. And even I'm not saying don't have a break at all, but have a break proactively when you're ready to have a break on your terms, as opposed to just getting up and getting some food when you need it, and it just disrupts the high level task you're working on. So hopefully this stuff kind of helps. So understanding distraction list is a really, really key one. Okay, and I think once you've understand distractions, you can find environments that eradicate them. Simple little hacks are like use the do not disturb function if you're using Apple devices on your mobile devices, but also on your Mac as well. So really, 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 really key. So yeah, hope you find this useful. It's a productivity hack which has made a massive, massive difference to me and my businesses on a personal level, and I'm sure it will have a big impact for others. Now I know you can't do it at the moment because we're in lockdown, but we're not going to be locked down forever. We're due to come out on the 2nd of December, possibly longer, but use this time to kind of plan for how you're going to work post lockdown if you are someone who works remotely on a more permanent basis, which I think will be relevant to a lot of people when we come out of lockdown. So that's it for me today. Sorry, it's been a bit of a waffly one today. My mind doesn't seem to be working as well as it normally does, but there you go. So as always, if you have any questions for me on this topic, drop me a comment. Or if it's a bigger topic, I'll do a separate vlog episode. I'll tag you in. If it's not for you and it's cluttering up your social feeds, please feel free to unfriend or unfollow me. No problem there whatsoever. I don't want to be cluttering people's social feeds unnecessarily. However, before you go, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Runpreneur, and my Facebook group, Runpreneur as well, because in the YouTube channel, all the feature full-length versions of these vlog episodes, all 160 or so, are documented nicely and neatly and catalogued by playlist. So hopefully there'll be some stuff on there that you can tap into on an ad hoc basis in the future, which is completely free. And the Facebook group is where all the free resources to the vlog are going to be hosted, so that you can capture some really cool free stuff, no obligation for anything, just to try and help you. Because as always, the Runpreneur vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs overcome stress, anxiety, overwhelm, using exercise as a mechanism to control, manage and thrive under these emotions that every entrepreneur is experiencing. And I think that's really important. And the differentiator between the successful entrepreneurs and the not so successful ones are how they manage these emotions, how they thrive under these pressures. The people that do it effectively are the ones that succeed. The people that bottle it all up, don't manage it effectively, are the ones that potentially are on a path to failure. So, my message to you is, if you are one of the entrepreneurs and you're struggling to find someone to talk to about the pressures and overwhelms, stresses, the anxiety of being an entrepreneur, drop me a message. There's no sale, no anything here. It's purely to help, because I've been on both sides. At the moment, I feel I'm managing my stress, anxiety, and overwhelm extremely well. I'm thriving. I've got more business opportunities than I've ever had, and I'm managing them more effectively than I've ever been able to before. And I think this running has been a main reason for my ability to do that. On the flip side, I've had businesses that have failed, that I've lost because I've put all the pressure myself, I've bottled it all up, not managed it effectively, and I've ultimately broken down and my business has broken down. So my pledge to you is that if you need someone just to run things through, I'm happy to jump on a call with you and try and give you a tangible roadmap just to kind of manage this, to try and get you back on the pathway to success. And if this vlog or if this call that I have with somebody saves just one entrepreneur or one business, then this whole vlog would have been 1,000,000% worthwhile. So that's it for me, and as always, I'll leave you with my stay positive, stay happy, and I will speak to you again tomorrow. Bye.